Well, the Texas Tech University system will soon employ a new AI platform on its Lubbock campus. Leaders with the system tell us this $25 million investment will push tech into the next era, allowing Red Raiders to lead future generations. KCBD News Channel 11's Aubrey Harris sat down with Chancellor Creighton to discuss the new partnership. She joins us now with a preview of that new era of Texas Tech. Aubrey.
Brittany, Texas Tech leaders say a new deal is being built right now to benefit not just Texas Tech, but the entire country. The system is investing in Nvidia's next generation computing infrastructure. It would use AI to fuel research and boost the future economy.
You know, the future is right here in front of us, and Texas Tech is building it.
The Texas Tech system is still in the beginning phases of the partnership. It revolves around Nvidia's new Blackwell Ultra B300 hardware, a chip to power supercomputers. Right now, Tech is narrowing down a location for the AI factory on its main campus.
How do you see this changing the experience students have here at Texas Tech in the years to come?
It's an incredible opportunity. I mean, we stand out already in academics, from medicine to law to agriculture, engineering, our incredible business school, the media and communication school, education, across the board. And I'm just listing a few of those as an example. But artificial intelligence and the future of higher education, how it affects the workforce, it ties into every interdisciplinary mode of education that we offer.
Creighton says the quick innovations of artificial intelligence is leaving some of the current workforce behind. So with this deal, he explains Texas Tech is integrating AI into the very structure of the academic programs the system offers.
There's one thing that's for sure, it is that higher education is changing and evolving quickly, and so is the workforce.
Once the new tech is installed, Creighton believes some of the world's most successful companies will be drawn to the hub city.
The synergy that is offered from that and how it will affect our local economies, the opportunities in education, the tax base, and just the way that the workforce will see our part of the state as very, very attractive for bringing their families and calling Lubbock home.
It's been said that this will accelerate innovation in industries such as healthcare, energy, agriculture, finance. What developments are you hoping to see?
I think we will continue to work in the cybersecurity, national defense, Department of Defense opportunities across the board. We're already known for that now, but this in particular will allow us to expand on those current footprints. The cloud that will come with this Nvidia hardware and infrastructure alone is not only secure, the size of the cloud and the opportunities within it exceed what many foreign governments currently have. So the scope of this is unlimited.
For decades, West Texas has powered the country with energy and agriculture. Do you see AI as the next chapter for our region?
I do. This hardware and these fast computation chips, they could very well, in modeling, find efficiencies that save us billions of dollars in the Texas grid, that would create efficiencies to leverage power generation further than what we're imagining now. There are so many opportunities to solve problems with the challenges that we face forward.
Texas Tech is one of the first universities to secure the use of Nvidia's new technology. Creighton hopes Tech stands as an example for future organizations.
There are many different nuances depending on the project. We'll be prepared for all of it. We'll be out front to make sure we're good stewards of natural resources and that we position ourselves for Texas to be successful in providing what families need for the future and for our businesses.
Tech is still building its plan for the hardware. Chancellor Creighton says the next step will be for them to find a location on the Lubbock campus of Texas Tech. Brittany.